Hi everyone, thanks for listening. Today I'm comparing two really interesting women from two very different tales. Genji's mother from the tale of Genji and Pimpania from the Decameron. By looking at them side by side, we can see how culture shapes women's roles and expectations. So the big idea here is that these characters aren't just individuals, they're reflections of societies they come from. Kuritsubo, aka Genji's mother, in Pampania shows us what it means, what it meant to be a woman in medieval Japan versus Renaissance Italy, and how those expectations shaped their actions and influences. The Tale of Genji was written by Murasaki Shikibu during the Heian period. She was a court lady, and her writing gives us this really intimate look into the aristocratic life, almost like a window into the emotional world of the Japanese elite. Genji Tale is often referred to as the world's first novel, which is pretty amazing. The story blends poetry and prose, and is known for its emotional depth and the way it explores relationships. Main character focus. The story follows Hikaru Genji, the Shining Prince. His relationships with different women reveal a lot about love, desire, and the social pressure of the time. Some of the big themes are love, loss, and the complicated rules of court life. Now, there's a lot of emotional subtlety, people hiding their feelings, longing for each other, and navigating status within this story. Genji's mother, Kiritsubo, is gentle and kind, but she's also trapped by court politics. Because of her lower rank, she's constantly targeted by jealousy. The text describes her as being caught between her duties and her desires, which really shows how limited her agency was. Her suffering deeply affects Genji and shapes who he becomes. Cultural context of Genji's mother. Now, to understand her situation, it helps to know a bit about the high end society. Elite women were usually very literate and wrote lots of the era's literatures. Girls married young, often between the age of 12 and 16. Infant mortality was extremely high, which shaped the family life. And even though women had cultural influence, their political power was very restricted. Okay, now switching over to Italy. Decameron was written by Giovanni. I'm going to try to attempt his last name. Boccaccio. That sounds about right. During the Black Death. 10 young people escape the plague and tell stories to pass the time, which creates this really rich mix of humor, morality, and social commentary. The book has 100 stories told over 10 days. Each person takes a turn leading the group and choosing the theme for the day. Some of the main themes are love, cleverness, and the messy reality of human behavior. Low key like a reality TV show. Okay. Giovanni doesn't shy away from criticizing hypocrisy or celebrating intelligence. This text also reflects early Renaissance ideas, especially individualism and shifting gender roles. Women were starting to participate more in the arts and public life. Pampania is one of the standout characters. She's confident, practical, and she's the one who suggests leaving Florence in the first place. She becomes the group's first leader, which shows a more empowered view of women compared to earlier medieval literature. In 14th century Italy, women's involvement in the arts increased noticeably. Pampania's story was often focused on love, wit, and independence. She represents a shift toward seeing women as capable leaders and thinkers. When we compare the two, Kurutsubo represents a more traditional, restrained role shaped by high-end or expectation. Pampania represents a more assertive, independent role shaped by Renaissance ideas. Their differences really highlight how culture shapes women's lives throughout history. Both women influence their stories in big ways. Kurutsubo shapes Genji's emotional development, while Pampania shapes the entire structure of the Decameron through her leadership. Genji's mother gives him emotional ground early on, and her suffering and her early death leaves him searching for affection throughout the novel. Pampania, on the other hand, is very present. She organizes the groups, sets rules, and keeps everyone focused. Her leadership creates the framework for all the storytelling. So even though their influence looks different, one through absence and one through leadership, both women both shape the directions of the stories. In the end, these two characters show how women roles change across cultures and time periods. Kiritsubo reflects the constraints of the Heian period, while Pampania reflects the growing independence of Renaissance women. Together, they help us understand how literature captures shifting gender dynamics.